My Lords, I wanted to just challenge the noble Lord Hannett's approach to this by way of very quickly saying that I support this amendment. I really object to the way that this is posed as this is a fans piece of legislation. The fans want it, and anyone who doesn't support or has any reservations about the bill is not thinking about the fans. I mean, it's based on the Tracy Crouch's original review, which is called the fan-led review, but there is a danger of a sleight of hand. I know that it sounds very populist, and I'm keen on populism, to say this is all about the fans, but actually it was based on 20,000 online responses. It's not necessarily all fans. And there's fans across the leagues now, at all different levels, who are finding out the detail about the legislation, and some of them are quite shocked, and I think the fact the media are beginning to pick up on it is quite important. And so I would like fans to have a proper opportunity to have a debate as the law is understood and rolled out, so that they can actually really take into consideration. I'm not trying to insult fans, by the way. I'm not trying to say they don't know what they're voting for, that kind of paternalism, which annoys me. But I've sat through about half of this committee, maybe less, hours and hours and hours and hours as others. And despite some snipes about filibustering, I've actually found the contributions to be brilliantly well informed. There's been lots of layers of debate, lots of nuance, and that's from all of the contributors. And the reason I'm saying that is because I thought I knew what was coming up in the bill, but I've had some genuine shocks about the political consequences of this law. So I think that we have to be honest and say, if it's only this bill was just about fan engagement, but there's a huge swathes more to it, with consequences that if fans find out, and when they find out, they are genuinely like, no, that's not what. I thought this was about, oh, I don't know, rogue owners or, you know, clubs' heritage or what have you. So I think that it's, and think of the rows we've even had this evening, not rows, but, you know, the mystery of the UEFA letter. I mean, when you tell people that, they don't understand why there's such a lack of transparency. I still don't know if senior members of foreign governments have to go through the ownership test or not, because we've had contradictory answers. There's all sorts of issues that we have raised that are genuinely, honestly in good faith about the potential unintended consequences of this bill. So I also object, just to finish, on those who are implying that this amendment is trying to scupper the bill. Right? It's kind of a way of saying, oh, and I saw one supporter of the bill complaining that the amendment means, quote, the problem with the sunset clause that undermines the regulator before it's even begun. It needs to have teeth and authority. And I would say that the regulator can have, or already has a fair amount of teeth and authority, but I think it's important that we don't allow this idea that we're not allowed to hold in check a regulator, parliamentary or otherwise, to make sure that they are accountable. Otherwise, we end up with us outsourcing the authority and the teeth to an unelected regulator without us being able to hold anyone to account for what's about to happen. And so I think that the government should seriously think about accepting this notion of a sunset clause in good faith, because if, in fact, all of the things that some of us are worried about, not just Conservatives, but many of us are worried about, are wrong, then that's fine. But if we are right that this could destroy football as we know it, that's quite a big deal, and the fans will never forgive you, no matter how often you say you've only done it for the fans. So for the fans, I think go for the sunset clause. It's not going to destroy your bill, as is explained, but it would actually be much more democratic and accountable.